Good evening, good evening, good evening. Hopefully, everyone is doing well. I am using a different microphone. If anyone is on right now, can you let me know how this sounds? Is it terrible? Is it good? I don't know. I'm using a different mic. So let me know before I keep going because if I need to switch this, let me know. Let me pull it up to see what it sounds like. If I need to switch this. Okay. Okay. I'm good. All right. Cool. All right, guys. So I wanted to come on live, man, because I was going to make a video, but I kept screwing the video up. The lighting was what I wanted with my mirrorless camera. So I decided to just come on live and do a live show about this real quick. What's going on, Mr. B? How you doing? Loud and clear. Appreciate that. T-Mix. Appreciate that. Okay. Couple things I want to talk about real quick. All right. First thing I want to start with is this stimulus thing, because I've been asked several times about this. All right. And I'm pulling up the AI version of this because each news station has their own thing that they're putting out, and all these different people putting out different things, right? So let's start with some facts first and foremost. All right. President Trump can get online, he can get on Truth Social, he can get anywhere he wants and say whatever he wants. But when it comes to a stimulus, and you can go back and look at any point in history, he can't do anything when it comes to federal money without Congress. He can make all the decorations all day long, but unless Congress, both sides, the Senate, the House as well as the Senate, approve whatever it is he's trying to do, there's no money that's coming. Okay, that's just a fact. let's dispense with anything else. The president of the United States cannot sign an executive order issuing money to anybody. That has to come through Congress. So while they may be online discussing it, while they may be in their cabinet discussing it, that's all well and fine. But until Congress votes on it, approves it in both houses, and then sends it to the president, you know what all this is? Just talk. Okay? Because there's been no bill proposed, no action proposed. So without Congress, none of this is going to happen. Just to be clear, you can Google it, Safari it, AI it, read it for yourself. It does not matter what the president says about this $2,000 without Congress, not going to happen. Okay? All right. That's the first one, because I've had many people ask me about this outside of the WhatsApp group, outside of YouTube. Family members hit me up. Oh, they talking about we're going to get $2,000. I said, get $2,000 from where? President Trump said, did Congress do anything? No, then don't sit there and count on that. There's a lot of stuff going on in between that and this supposed stimulus. If there were to be a stimulus and they haven't even put a bill out for it yet, it might be sometime in the middle or late 2026, right for the midterms. Matter of fact, when are the midterms next year? Because whenever the midterms are, that's when you can expect to see a stimulus. Okay, this is a setup. Just read the tea leaves. There's a midterm next year. What better way to get people on your side than to give them money? So whenever the midterms are, that's when you should expect some movement on the stimulus. All right, so who else we got here? OT, what's going on? Saludos. Nice round number. Talking loud, saying nothing. I'm not one side or the other. I'm just giving facts. Without Congress, ain't nothing he can do. He can make all the decorations in the world, but without Congress, it doesn't mean a damn thing. All right, let's move on to the next one, because it's been quite a bit that's out there that people are not aware of, and they've been asking questions, and I'm like, all right, well, let me just do a video, look up some of this stuff, see what's true, see what's not true, and let's go from there. Okay, here's another one. Now, this is very true. This was actually introduced in the middle of November. This is a bill to increase uh, some veterans who are in the SMC category, particularly veterans who are R1, R2, or T, the most extreme. Okay. This bill is proposing to give them an extra $10,000 a year. Not only that, it's also going to give 1% more for DIC and survivors. Okay. People who have died while in service training, whatever it may be that caused them their death that was in military service, they're going to get an increase as well. So I want to do away with some of the questions people asked about this. Number one, it is not for everyone in the SMC category. No, it is not. It is only for the top three most severe, which is R1, R2, and T. If you're listening to the hearing, and I can put a link up for the hearing, and I'm going to do that tomorrow, within the first 30 minutes, the chairman who's running the meeting says it specifically at the 29-minute, 48-second mark, who is eligible for the extra $10,000 a month. In the SMC category, it is R1, R2, and T. Okay? Now, the 1% increase for DIC is to hopefully catch up from the inflation, because that bill hasn't been changed since 1993. That's how long that it's been. Over 30 years. That bill has, the DIC rates and all that have never changed in 30 years. So they're looking to improve that and change that. Okay. All right. Let's see what else we got here before I move to the next one. Send the people asking Schoolhouse Rock. There's a bill on a hill. All right, Mr. B. All right. Let me put the link in. You want to jump on Mr. B and say your piece? It's all good. I ain't got no problem with it, but just, I'm not trying to get political tonight. I'm just trying to deal with facts. What are facts? That's it. Peace is what, simply deal with facts. All right. But that explains this bill. This bill is going to pass. The only holdup with this bill is how they're going to pay for it. So right now they hit a roadblock, which is what this article is talking about, because they want to take income from veterans who are 70% and below, who are purchasing their second home, not their first home, but their second home through the VA, what do you call it? Housing, the grant. Damn, I can't think of the name of it. But they want to charge you 1% on that, which is about roughly $35 a month if you go by the average. Okay. So they want to charge that every month to help pay for, or to pay for the extra $10,000 a month for veterans in that specific SMC category. Now, according to the latest data on that, that's roughly 500,000 veterans that fall into the R1, R2, T category that would get that extra $10,000 a month. Okay. So that's what this is. It's not for every person in the SMC category. It's only for the top three most critical ones, R1, R2, and T. That's it. All right. And then let's get to the last one. All right. And then the last one is this one. Now, I'm going to talk about a story that I think Barry put it in the WhatsApp group from Instagram, where there was a gentleman. I don't know if he was in the service. I didn't pay attention if he was in the Navy, what his rank was in the Navy, but I listened to the story that he was telling. But this is not new, okay? But the VA is going to share data with ICE, so they'll know who's working at the VA who is not a U.S. citizen. They're looking for immigrants that are working at the Department of Veterans Affairs. As a matter of fact, they're looking for immigrants that are working that are not U.S. citizen in any form of government, whatever department it is. They're going through all of it, even going through our military. Okay. Now, that brings me to, and I can put this link in the chat for anybody who wants to read this entire story. Whoops, wrong one. Oops. 1 second. Let me go back. For anybody who wants to read this, I'm going to put it in the chat right now so you can take your time and read the entire article as it talks about this. But I'm going to just start out by saying this. ICE has a lot of power with immigration. If you are not aware of the type of power that ICE has with immigration or in the U.S. government, please go look it up. Look at Google migration and ICE, the power that they have. Go look it up. I implore you all, if you are not aware of the power of that department of the federal government, please go look it up. Now, I believe it was Barry Tommy that put a Instagram post in from a gentleman who was sitting in his car who was talking about a Navy veteran of Hispanic descent who was stopped by an ICE agent. He was in a Navy uniform. I don't know if they were on a Navy installation or not, but I know he was in a Navy uniform. He had his Navy ID card that he gave to the ICE agent, which wasn't good enough. And the ICE agent stayed there for an hour and a half until he was able to produce a passport. Now, let's go to a couple things because there were people online who were highly upset. People were saying, if you're in the Navy, that doesn't prove you're an American, nothing does, so on and so forth. Okay. We all know, we should all know, those of us, because the majority of you guys watching are in the military, were in the military, that they have soldiers who are not U.S. citizens. We all know this. And if you're new to this and you are unaware, yes, they have soldiers who join the military who are non-U.S. citizens. They do it all the time. That is not new, okay? For the people online who think just because you're in a uniform and just because you have military ID, that you are an American citizen, that is not true. It is not. That is the reason why the ICE agent asked for the passport. Because with a U.S. passport, you are a U.S. citizen, or at least you're a green card holder. Well, no, you're what do you call it? Damn, I wish Barry was on. Oh, I can't think of the name. Man, my memory is getting so bad. But hopefully Mr. B puts it in here. I can't remember what you call it. I know naturalization. You naturalize as a citizen, okay? But for ICE to go on a military base, now I don't agree with them going on a military base and just because someone is Hispanic and coming up to them and asking them if they're a U.S. citizen, I don't agree with that. I don't, okay? But once they identify someone and think that they're not a citizen and they ask them to prove it, they can do that all day long. They can do that all day long. And just because they're in a uniform or just because they have an ID card in the military, that does not mean they're a U.S. citizen. It's the same way you have veterans who are currently in the United States of America right now, receiving disability, going to the VA for care, getting medication. Some of those veterans are not U.S. citizens. They're not. Some of them didn't bother to, when they get out or while they were in, go through the process to become a citizen. They didn't worry about it. They got out and they get into a situation or they get caught or they commit a crime. They find out they're not a U.S. citizen. Benefit goes away. They're out of the country. They're going back to wherever they came from, or if they won't accept them, the U.S. will take them somewhere. But those are all facts, ladies and gentlemen, right? I'm not here to be judge and jury for anybody. I'm just trying to give you guys facts. So when you see stories like these and they're telling you this and people are leaving these crazy comments about this, that, and the third, is because they don't know. Either they don't know, they're not aware, or they're not trying to be aware. They just want something to argue about. But those are facts, okay? There are tons of veterans in Mexico right now that serve, that were getting benefits. But for one reason or another, whether it was a crime, whether they got stopped, they had a speeding ticket, whatever it was, they got deported because they were not U.S. citizens. So once they get deported, benefits stop immediately. And just so everybody's clear, you do not have to be a U.S. citizen in order to receive VA benefits. Please go look it up. Go look it up. If you think I'm lying, if you think I'm making this up, if you think I'm telling you a complete lie, please go look it up. Come back and leave a comment. Because that is a fact. A fact. Okay? So hopefully, all of that is clear. All right? Hopefully. Let's see. He stated he wanted to get rid of Africans, Latinos, and Asians during his campaign. So I say you voted for it. He told you what he was going to do. I didn't pay that much attention to it, Mr. B. I don't know. Yeah, naturalization. I finally thought of. Appreciate that. Gestapo. Look. All I know is just look up how much power ICE has. ICE has a lot of freaking power. A lot of power, guys. And I wasn't even aware how much power ICE has until, I read up on it, and ICE got a lot of power. That's why they do what they do. They don't care. You a citizen, you standing in the way of something they got going, they're going to move your ass out the way and go and do what they got to do. They don't care. They do not care. Okay? All right. One last thing I want to talk about real quick. And if anybody has any questions, man, please leave them in the comment section. One last thing I want to talk about, and that is the bill that a senator in Ohio recently put out regarding dual citizenship. Okay. He wants to do away with dual citizenship. He wants people who have dual citizenship to pick one and stick with that one. Now, as a lot of you all know, I'm in Colombia. I've been here for a long time. I got a little bit more than 3 years ago in order to apply for citizenship here in Colombia. And I'm at a crossroads here because on the one hand, I'm pretty sure the first time around, this bill's probably not going to pass the first time around. But just like with most things that people think will never happen, there's somehow, some way, I got a feeling this bill is going to get snuck into something and it's going to pass. Because it's basically a loyalty test and people are going to sell it as patriotism. Okay? Because there are a lot of people who have dual citizenship. As a matter of fact, it's in our Constitution. The Supreme Court has already ruled on this several times. So, and the way that it's going with this administration, and you guys see how the Supreme Court generally ends up agreeing with this administration, that's what gives me pause right now about my entire journey of doing this to become a citizen in this country, and to get to that point and just to hear that, well, you can't even become a citizen now. That is very unnerving, to say the least. Okay, so I'm kind of at a loss, but being a resident here gives me pretty much everything except voting. Okay, my resident status does everything else but voting. But I did want a second passport, and you guys can understand why they're doing this. And I'm gonna say something real controversial. I already know people are gonna get upset when I say this, but it's the truth. The thing I'm going to say is this, guys, and I'm being honest. As people on social media put out all these places they're living, what they're paying, how they're living, and showing other Americans, especially younger Americans who are leaving the U.S., do not be surprised. Do not be surprised. They make a change to the passport. They make a change to social media of how people are getting paid to get people to come back to the States. Because the US government in all these countries are the same. What do they run off of? Consumers, taxpayers. If 1 million people leave the United States of America, that's $1 million taxpayers. That's 1 million workers. That's 1 million consumers. You guys understand that? So there are more people that are leaving, and don't think our government ain't paying attention to this, because this is how it starts with a citizenship. Hey, we only want you to have one. You're either an American or you're not. And then it kind of rolls into other things. So don't be surprised, because a passport is a privilege. It is not a right. I'm going to say that again. A passport is a privilege, not a right. They could come out with a bill and change everything tomorrow and say, if you make less than 75K a year, you don't need a passport. Or 50K a year, you don't need a passport. Social media can be great because you can learn a lot on social media. You get to see places you never heard of, never know what they look like. Something that may fit your lifestyle, your eye, or whatever the case may be. But when all these young people continuously get online every day and push other young people, leave America, the American dream is dead, yada, 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 yada. You got to understand who your government is. We're talking about the United States of America. If you think they're going to allow all these young people to just go and lose out on all these tax dollars, and then we're funding the U.S. tax money, the U.S. dollar is funding all these other countries, y'all better think again. You better go back and look at history, because history always repeats itself. Always. There's going to be something coming that's going to force a lot of people back to the United States of America. One of the easiest ways they can do it is social media. A lot of people abroad are living on social media. How can they change it? Simple. Geofence social media. What do you mean by geofence social media? Change the way social media is paid to people abroad. If you are not in the United States making these videos, even though you were based out of the United States and you're making the dollar in the United States, all they got to do is change the denomination to whatever country you're in. So if you're here in Colombia making videos and you're making money in the US, change that from dollars to pesos. That's going to change quick how you living abroad. 100,000 views might get you 4,000 in the US. It's only going to get you about $40 here in Colombia. If that. That will change a lot. Same way with TikTok. They've already changed the algorithm with TikTok. Simple flip of a switch for all these TikTokers that are out there in different countries living off the US dollar from TikTok. Simple switch. You go from making $3,000, $5,000, $10,000 a month to making $50, $60, $70 a month, depending on the country that you're in. So I'm just spitting facts right now, guys, because again, social media can be great. It can provide a lot of information. But the more people are out there selling this idea to everybody in the States, leave, move, go here, go there. Okay. And you think our U.S. government is not paying attention to that, you're tripping. You're tripping. You're tripping. And they're going to do something about it. The same way they did something about TikTok. They're going to do something about it. They're not going to just let all these people go and let all this revenue go to other countries and you building up these other countries while your country is losing this revenue. Ain't going to happen. Not going to happen. So do not be surprised in the upcoming years, changes that's going to come. And I'm going to play this video back and let you all hear what I told you. Change is coming. They're not going to let these people continue to stay out there while the U.S. lose out on revenue. Not going to happen. Because you got to understand also, a lot of these people that are making money abroad, they're not paying taxes. Some of them don't even make enough to pay taxes. They make just enough to get by in these foreign countries. The way some of them living like a local, I mean, $1,000, they can get away with it. Living in a shitty neighborhood, they can get away with it on $1,000. But if you take and you change that denomination from dollars to whatever country they in, Dominican pesos, Colombian pesos, Mexican pesos, Thai baht. Oh, it's a hell of a difference. Hell of a difference in pay. I'm just telling you, just pay attention, watch the signs, follow the tea leaves, and you'll see. But there's a lot of changes coming in 2026 if you all have not been paying attention. These countries are making changes to improve their image, to improve their cities and make them better. There are changes coming. They're slow, but they're coming. There are going to be changes to immigration in a lot of these countries. There's already changes that you can see to Thailand, changes here. And they're trying to make it cleaner. I was just out earlier, got a haircut. People who are normally out walking the streets, whether it's vendors, locals, or even tourists, you hardly see anybody. Anybody. I'm gonna go out probably next week one day to one of these where they got the Christmas lights out, and I'm gonna show you out there. It's mainly locals that's gonna be out there. Tourists, not like it has been in the past. No, especially here in Medellin. Now I can't speak for any of the other cities. I know what I see here. I was just in the mall and I put a video out earlier. I didn't see one tourist in the mall, unless they were Colombian Americans. I didn't see any tourists in the mall, period. And I was in that mall because I had to pay a couple bills for a little over 2 hours. Didn't see anyone. I had to go from the 5th floor all the way down to the 1st floor 3 times. Didn't see a soul. So if you think it's all the way it was before, it's not. Things are changing. And it's not just here, it's all over the world. If you're paying attention and you see what some of these countries are doing, they're tired of a certain element out there and they're making changes. All right. Now, the last thing I want to address is when we were on their citizens being picked up, held for 3 days. No checks and balances. Again, Mr. B, I would ask you to go look up the power of ICE with immigration and things that they can do. Okay. Hey, the things that ICE can do. Okay. The last thing I want to address real quick is something that Wally talked about, and shout out to Wally on this, where he was expressing his feelings about, some of the things that's going on in his city around African Americans, Black, whatever you call yourself, whatever you describe yourself as, where he wants to make a change. Like, how can we make a change? How can we improve? How can we be positive in these people's lives? Okay. And I had a conversation with someone earlier today about this, and I'm gonna keep it a buck. Until people decide that they've had enough and they want to change, as long as they're around that element, that's who they are. They haven't made a decision to change. You listen to anybody's story who's been in those type of situations, whether it's dealing with drugs, whether it's dealing with gangs, whatever the case may be, they made a decision they wanted to change. And until whoever it is he thinks needs to hear this message, until they make that decision in their head that they want to change, they're not going to change. They're not. Because the way we may envision things is not the way others envision things. You follow what I'm saying? We can want for people all day long. We want you to listen. We want you to understand. We don't want you to go through the same things we went through. You can tell them that all day long. But until that individuals decide that they want to make a change, they're going to continue to do what they've always done. That's life. I mean, I've told a story growing up where I grew up, where, most people are expecting you to go to work in a sawmill. And if that's what you want to do, that others have done that was there, then that's your decision to do that. But myself and others decided, no, we want to do something else. That's not in my future. and we decided to do something and make a change to break that stream. But until you get it here that you want to change, it doesn't matter what I say, anybody else says. People are going to do what they want to do. It's their life. They are their environment. As long as they're in an environment like that, that's who they are. Until they decide they want to make a change. Now, some will say, well, you have to have the opportunity. I didn't have no opportunity. My opportunity was join the military. I knew that was my way out. Military. Some were smart enough to get scholarships to go to college or trade school or whatever it was. But again, they made that decision to go. They didn't want to stay with status quo. If someone's sticking with status quo, even though you got all the information you need right here to take it upon yourself to figure it out, and you don't, then who am I? Who am I to try to tell you any different than what you're doing? Because apparently what you're doing is working for you. It is what it is at that point. You know, I get on here and I try to explain Western lifestyle versus local lifestyle. Some people understand what I'm saying, some don't. They're stuck on, well, it's cheaper. Yeah, if you're going to live like a local. But if you plan on living like you live currently in the US, the hell it is, you're going to spend just as much here as you spend in the US. That's just a fact. That's not speculation or innuendo. That's a fact. You want to wear the latest Nikes, you want the latest whatever it is, you're going to spend 30 to 40% more than you would in the States. That's facts. But if you want to live like a local and pick up the cheapest thing you can and live on the bottom, you know, always on the food cart thing, always on the lowest end grocery stores, and you don't know where this come from, that come from type of tip, then of course, you can do that in America. You ain't got to go abroad to do that. You can do that same thing in the US. That is a fact. It's a fact. So, and the way I see that, and I try to explain it to people, people hear what they want to hear. So with Wally's situation, is the exact same thing. As I try to explain that, again, people hear what they want to hear. So until they decide they want to make that change, we can get on here and sing Kumbaya. We can hold hands. We can pray. But it's up to the individual to make that decision. It goes all the way back to the movement. Read about it. The movement? What do you mean? What goes all the way back? Look, I understand history, and history always repeats itself at some point. But I also like to look forward at a lot of things. Like some of the situations, and I understand keeping the father out of the home. When was this? Back in the 70s, the 60s, the 70s. I understand all that. But in 2024, with the way a lot of the things have trended from where we grew up to where they are now, this is a different world. Completely different world. The way everything is looked at now is completely different. Now, there's one last thing I want to say before I get off, and that's to the people who may be receiving SNAP, okay? In the big, beautiful bill starting in this month, right, there was a change. It used to be if you had a child under 18, you know, you were exempt from a lot of things. Same with veterans. If you were a disabled veteran, even at 100% and you're receiving SNAP benefits, you were exempt from any type of work requirement, volunteer requirement, anything like that. You were. The big, beautiful bill changed that. And starting this month, you got a child over the age of 14, you got to go work, volunteer, do something for 80 hours a month in order to still qualify. I'm going to repeat that again. You got a child, if your youngest child is over the age of 14, these requirements started this month in December under the big, beautiful bill. Now, there are some states that are requiring people to go back and recertify or reapply, start completely over. There are going to be a lot of people, and I do mean a lot of people, that's not going to qualify. They're doing this by design. It's all by design. So, and it's all kind of a moot point anyway, because come January 30th or whenever, when did they sign that temporary bill? When's that temporary bill supposed to end? The end of January, like January 30th or January 31st? We're going to be right back where we were in another shutdown. So, you know, a lot of this is kind of a moot point, but it is what it is at this point. All right, guys. So if you're a veteran out there, you're on SNAP benefits, you're in one of these states that's requiring you to go back and sign up for benefits, do it now. Get it out the way. Hopefully you still qualify at the end, but go ahead and get it out the way. Don't wait till the last minute. So if you 100% TDIU 100, wait, so if you are TDIU 100%, they can reduce the person? What do you mean, Mr. B? Where'd you get that one from? Now, I don't, look, the only thing I know about that TDIU and reductions is from the CBO reports, from the hearing that they had. When was that? In September, where they talked about this. And when was this other House meeting? In November, they brought up stuff like this, right? So that's about all I know about this. But there's been no bills, no proposals other than the CBO that talks about TDIU and 100%. You can work. Wait, it says, so if you're 100%, hell no, you can't work. Okay, all right. I did a whole video on it. Was to be, go back and read the application that was filled out for TDIU. There's fine print at the top and fine print at the bottom just before you sign that talks about this specifically. Okay, so you can work as long as it's below the poverty line. I don't know what the poverty line is, what, 15, 14,000, something like that. As long as you below that, you good. You going above that, your social security number is going to ping. It's definitely going to ping with the VA, and they know. So, yeah, you taking a risk. Like people out there on TDIU, and again, I never understood this. You all have heard me say this 1,000 times. Why get on TDIU and limit your income when you can go out and get a job and make as much as you want? I've never understood that. Never. If you are truly disabled, you on TDIU, leave it alone. But if you on TDIU and it ain't enough, you did that to yourself by listening to somebody else tell you to get on TDIU when you didn't need it. Because if I'm 70% and I can work, I can go out and make as much damn money as I want to make, and ain't nobody gonna say a word to me. On the other hand, let me get this extra 1,800 to go with this 70%, and now I'm stuck at this amount. I can't get no more other than poverty. That's it. I've never understood people that have done that. That has baffled me to this day. I don't understand it. But, you know, it's different when you're 100% on the number. Totally different. You can go out and work all damn day unless there's a restriction on you. But with TDIU, you're literally telling them because of your disabilities, you cannot work. And I don't think enough people who are on TDIU realize that's what they signed. SNAP and well, Mr. B, It all depends on what state you're in and how many dependents you have. There are veterans who are 100%, three, four, five dependents that qualify for food stamps. Real talk. Real talk. There are veterans out there, 100% married, many dependents, and qualify for food stamps. There are veterans out there who are single, 100%, several dependents, and they get food stamps. Now, I'm not saying they get thousands of dollars in food stamps. Hell, some of them may only get 100, some of them may get 300, but they get food stamps. So it all depends. All depends. All depends on your financial situation and where you are. You know, each it depends, right? Because what 3,900? Because they have the guideline, whatever it is, the guideline, and then you just add how many dependents you have onto it. So, yeah, it just depends. It really depends. Now they're starting. Yeah, yep, that started this month. Yep. And what veterans used to be exempt, veterans are no longer exempt. So if you getting food stamps, let's say you 50% and you getting food stamps, you used to be exempt because you were a disabled veteran. Not anymore. You got to go out and get your 20 hours a weekend to still qualify. Yeah, you do. That's the way the bill was written. Look it up if you don't believe me. That's the way it was written. All right, guys, that's going to be it for this video, man. I don't want it to run too long, but I just wanted to answer those questions. Obviously, we're doing a live show tomorrow, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Be sure you guys come check us out for that live show. Any questions that you may have from this or any other videos that have been put out, please leave them on the live show for tomorrow. We'll try to answer your questions. Of course, we don't know everything. Of course, I don't know everything, but I'll try to answer the things that I do know, or I'll try to look up and find information that can hopefully answer whatever question you may have about whatever situation is currently going on. Wow, they're in trouble. Why would they dude, that's a law now. Contacting the VA ain't gonna do them no good. That ain't gonna do no. I mean, if they want to go do like what do you call it? Oh my God, man, my memory. Compensated work therapy. Like that's a way. Matter of fact, that's the easiest way to do your 20 hours and get paid for doing your 20 hours. Compensated work therapy. Depending on the type of disability you got, what openings they have, you could be sitting right there at the front desk doing nothing for 20 hours, answering the door, like opening the door for people to come in, sitting at the desk, giving directions on where to go, and you getting paid tax-free for it. I would do it anyway. I'm gonna be honest with y'all. If I was in the States, okay, I'm being dead ass serious. If I was in the States and I have absolutely nothing to do, oh, I'm going to get paid at the VA. I'm going to compensated work therapy. I'm going to do whatever little thing they're going to have me do. And I'm going to get paid tax-free every 2 weeks. It's not going to hurt you if you're on Social Security. It's not going to hurt you if you're on TDI. It's not going to hurt you if you're on workman's comp, because it is considered therapy, not work. Therefore, it does not count against you in any way. It's therapy. Yeah, I'm telling you, that's what I would do. But like, Wally's doing DoorDash, and that's cool. But for me, man, look, I'm standing by that door. You need to know what is. Okay, get in the elevator, go to that. You need somebody to pull you in the wheel. Let me call somebody to come down here in a wheelchair so they can push you where you need to go. I'm being dead ass honest. I'll be doing compensated work therapy. And it doesn't have to be at the hospital. You can do it at the company office. You can do it at what are those little clinics? They have some off-site areas you can go to. Man, hell, whatever it is, you gonna pay me? Cool. And it's tax-free? Cool. That's what I'm doing. And it's not like you're gonna be sitting there by yourself. There's usually 2 to 3 people. Every now and again, you'll see one person standing at like a little post, and they're giving that's compensated work therapy. Most of the people y'all see, especially checking you into your appointment, there's probably 1 to 2 people there that actually work at the VA. The majority of the people that check you in, compensated work therapy. I promise you. They compensated work therapy. When y'all go into comp and pen, not the ones who are sitting at the desk, but if you go around the corner to where finance is, or you go around the corner to where those VFW and all those places, compensated work therapy. A lot of the people that work in the canteen, compensated work therapy. Real talk. Real. A lot of people in the cafeteria, compensated work therapy. A lot of people in laundry, compensated work therapy. Usually the greeters going to get your glasses, going to get prosthetics. There's a reason why they say, hold on, let me go get such and such. They don't fucking know. They going to get somebody that actually works in that department, because they just there to check you in, get your ID, and put you, say you here. That's it. That's their only job. Or to go pick up something at another department and bring it back to you. The next time y'all go to the VA, the next time y'all go to the VA, stop for a moment and just look at the people that's working. 9 times out of 10, the first people that the veterans deal with, compensated work therapy. They don't work there. They don't really work there, right? They just basically people who are just taking down little shit, this, that, and the third. That's it. Simple. You do the simplest shit as possible. That's it. Mr. B said, playing spades. What's up? I see no sleep is back. Yeah, man, I'm up. Orderlies. Yeah, I'm telling y'all, dude, bro. The people who push them around in wheelchairs, that's compensated work therapy. These people don't work at the VA. They don't work there. Come on. You think the government's going to hire somebody just to take them in a wheelchair and push them around the VA? Come on, man. Come on, man. Come on, man. What's up, Ira? How you doing? But anyway, man, I'm getting ready to get up off here. It's been almost an hour or so. Let me get up off here. But God, I'm telling y'all, the next time you go to the VA, just pay attention. That's all I'm asking you to do. Pay attention, especially the people that's checking you in. They don't know nothing. They're going to have to go. If you ask them any type of question, they got to go ask somebody else that actually worked there what they need to do. They're not going to do it on their own. Later, Mr. B. All right, guys, that's it. I'm out. Peace. You ladies and gentlemen, enjoy the rest of your night.